It is really important to who we are here at Salt House to be radically welcoming. And so we are featuring Salt House Pride Stories every Sunday of June as we are in Pride Month together. And so this is Kim Saunders. As you will hear, she's been here since the beginning of time. Well, at least Salt House time. And
I'm aging right in front of your eyes.
Indeed. So Kim will share her Salt House Pride story with us. So thanks, Kim.
Thank you. Happy Pride. Woo! So I wanted to tell you about the very first time I ever set foot on this property. Hard to believe. It's like almost 8 years ago now. I would think it was 2013, actually. And we had scheduled a meeting here at Trinity Lutheran Church, which is what it was at the time, with about a dozen people from Holy Spirit Lutheran Church. And we were here to discuss what might be possible with this 1950s building, partially renovated in the 1980s, that had been experiencing a very slow death here with their community shrinking. We sat on very uncomfortable folding chairs, some of you might be sitting on today, in what was a very cramped entry area. It was surrounded by rows of battered banquet tables. And we were here to figure out if Holy Spirit would accept Trinity's gift of this property with its one string attached. That ministry continue on this property, on this corner, in this neighborhood. There were 8 Holy Spirit working groups that were all envisioning different possibilities, from a daycare and a preschool to a ministry to support differently abled people, to a high school drop-in center, to a coffee house, plus our working group, which was about worship. And I'd been asked to lead that because of my interest in contemporary worship music. But what we discovered at that very first meeting was that every single person who showed up, they were less concerned about worship style than they were about the issue of inclusivity. And so we actually pivoted at that very meeting. What we thought we were going to be talking about became something very different. Our focus shifted from contemporary worship to figuring out how to serve people who were largely missing from our community, many of them in their 20s and 30s. At its core, we were all grappling with the reality that churches, and particularly mainline Protestant churches like the ELCA, were effectively excluding more and more people. And we wanted to change that. We asked the question, what can we do to build a more welcoming community, particularly for those, like many young adults, living in and through transition? That question guided our yes to engaging and growing with families and with women experiencing the transitions of homelessness. And that question also became the root of our practice of radical welcome, a type of opening up and inviting in that would profoundly change and shape Salt House. You know, welcoming often looks like an invitation for you to join us. We invite you in because you look and sound and believe like us. But radical welcome follows Jesus' outreach in a very different way. It follows that outreach to the most different and the most marginalized. Radical welcome guides the Salt House community to invite you to join because you look and sound and believed differently than me. Radical welcome is about redefining the reassuring commonality of us into the messy and uncomfortable diversity of we. As our world becomes increasingly polarized, radical welcome following Jesus in this way may be what saves us. We have succeeded in building a community of diversity in some ways. As one of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer members of our Salt House community, and actually one that has been in Salt House leadership, I can attest to the diversity and inclusivity around gender and sexual orientation that exists here. We also are remarkably diverse in our religious backgrounds, ages, family structures, health status, and economic situations. I have to say, though, we've been far less successful at building a racially and ethnically diverse community, and I'm so grateful for Angela to be willing to stand up and talk about that truth, that reality, because that's true here with us as much as it is in our broader culture. I am hopeful, looking forward to the next year, that a deeper partnership with our Kirkland Place neighbors that actually exist in a much more diverse space than we do, and increased investment in social justice work will open new possibilities for our continued learning and growth around racial and ethnic inclusivity. And again, Angela's words were real guidance in that direction, and I'm personally so grateful for that. But for today, I'm Kim, and this is my Salt House Pride story, because there's more than enough room at God's table for everyone. Thank you.